You are Locked On Astros Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You know, they say if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, guess what? We have a lot of unnice things to say about the Houston Astros after another disastrous baseball game, losing 2 out of 3 to the Washington Nationals. Absolutely pathetic. Welcome into the Locked On Astros Postcast, Locked On Sports Network, Locked On Sports Houston YouTube page live. Hit the subscribe button if you're new with us today. Of course, if you're listening to this on podcast, wherever you find your podcast, go and hit the subscribe button on the YouTube page. We're with you after every single game. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. So another day and another loss to the Astros. First of all, they have brutal news to start the day. They lose another starting pitcher. It is a big part of the story this season, how the starting pitching has been just in shambles. Javier goes down, neck discomfort. He's on the injured list. Spencer Arrietty's coming back up. Hunter Brown steps in, makes the start. Now, look, it looked like it was going to be just an atrocity for him. It's amazing, to be completely honest with you, that he was only able to get, or he only ended up giving up 3 runs on in the 4 innings that he pitched. But, I mean, he didn't get an out before he gave up those 3 runs. And it's been a lot of that this season for a guy that they've counted on to be better than this. I have reached the stage, and look, it's everybody's given their ability to have their opinion. You might be listening. There's going to be things that I say to this that you don't agree with. That's fine. There would be things that you would tell me that I don't agree with. It's what opinion is. It's sports. It's just going back and forth. I don't think that there's any other way to live right now when it comes to being a Houston Astros fan than in reality. And the reality is this baseball team is horrible. I'm done with they're this talented, they're that talented. I can only base my opinion on what I'm seeing out of them. And they're one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. The facts prove it out. They don't score a lot of runs consistently. They give up a lot of runs at times. Their bullpen blows games left and right. They don't do anything well at all. They got a few guys that have some individual numbers, that look okay. Other than that, there's nothing. This is a big, fat disaster. The egg is on the face of Jim Crane, Dana Brown, Joe Espada, all the players, all of them. They all look like they're not getting out of this. And I think it's a shame for you, for everybody that watches the Astros and has watched the Astros for a long period of time, that we are going to have to sit here and keep doing this on a daily basis. I said this yesterday, and I know this. There are a lot of you that will start to tune them out. I mean, look, it's Sunday afternoon. The weather outside in Houston, it's our last little cold spurt. It's unbelievable. If I didn't have this going on today, I wouldn't have watched them. I wouldn't have. It's just the truth. Yes, there's a lot of games to go. But you realize every day that they dig this hole deeper, the less likely it becomes that you can dig yourself out of it. You are gifted the fact that the leagues have 7 teams in the postseason on each side. But right now, if you seriously can sit here and think in your brain, like, yeah, this is going to end up being a postseason team. Why? What have they showed you at all? What have they showed you that they're capable of doing anything that's good? I mentioned this yesterday. They only have 7 wins to go through on the season. They don't even have 3 wins in a row. It's April 21st. The month of April is coming to an end. We're about to hit May. And I brought the record up yesterday. They were below 500. early May last season. Those things are nice and everything. But here's the difference between last season and this season. They didn't play like this. They didn't play, uninspired baseball every single night. This is what they're doing every day. They come out. They don't look like they give a crap. They kick the ball around to an extent. They either don't pitch well, they don't hit well. There's nothing about them that they're putting anything good together at all. It's just the truth. So if there are people out there that want to live in La La Land and believe that, the sky is great. They need to win almost 60% of their games the rest of this season now. 60 to win 90 games. Are they doing that? Does this look like a team that's going to do that? Can you honestly sit there and tell me you think that they're going to do that? I can. I think based on the way that they're playing right now, I think they're going to be lucky to be a 500 baseball team this season. Lucky. There's just, I don't see an end in sight. I mean, look, the Nationals have some young players that are a little bit feisty. They pitched pretty well at times this weekend. But they're not a team that is, and the Astros are familiar with them. They see them, like 15 times a spring. They know what they have. They should have a book on these guys a little bit. They share a facility in West Palm Beach. But that's a team that you go into this weekend, and honestly, in the back of my mind going in, I wouldn't blurt it out loud because it's hard to say that in baseball, like, you need to go sweep. That's a team you should feel like you should go sweep when you're of the expectation level of the Houston Astros. And they were almost, they were almost at a point where they were coming into this game today playing for that sweep. Think about how much everything has changed in the last, 24 hours basically, since Ryan Presley blew the lead there in the ninth. Think about it. It's back to, how can this change? How can this be a situation that improves? Which player is going to step up and stop being terrible every single day? First time they've been shut out this season. So, hey, accomplishment. You waited until game 23 or whatever to not get shut out, or to get shut out for the first time this year. Yay. They had 4 hits today. 4. That's it. 2 of them from McCormick. 1 from Caratini. I will give Caratini this. He's been a nice pickup. Jordan had another. We're talking offers for Altuve, which Altuve gets to slide. He's hitting for over 350 still. Tucker, he's been 2 up and down. I've said it about this guy a million times. Alex Bregman is a big fat disaster. He's a complete disappointment. He has slid so quickly in terms of he's declined rapidly in front of our faces. I'm not even going to be mad when he's gone, because this is what you're losing. Okay, fine. But they keep pumping this out every single day. And you will eventually reach a point where you sit there and you say, do you start trading guys? Why wouldn't you? Let's just play the hypothetical game. They're around, the All-Star break. And they're still 8 to 10 games under 500. Why would you hold on to this team? Of course, you're going to hold on to Altuve. You're going to hold on to Jordan. Those guys are under contract for a long period of time. But if you're not going to sign Kyle Tucker, wouldn't you entertain the possibility of a trade? You take whatever off the scrap heap you're going to get for Bregman at that point, because he's walking. You're not going to get a lot for him. Move back off of Justin Verlander. Put Framber Valdez up for sale. Retool as much as you can, and then try to rebuild around Jordan and Altuve. I don't want to live in this world. It feels dirty. And I know it feels dirty to every single one of you too. They're better than this. That's the sad thing about all this, is that and I know they should be better than this. And they're not. I can't sugarcoat it. There's no reason to. Why would I sit here and tell you this is great or that is great? Or that, let's be positive, guys. They're gonna figure this out. Sunshine and rainbows. No. I'm a person that likes to evaluate off numbers that I have, evidence that I have in front of my face, and then my eyeballs on top of it. And my eyeballs keep showing and keep telling me, and my gut keeps telling me, it's going to be a bad, bad season. There's a lot more bad to come than there is good, unfortunately, for the Astros. And hopefully I'm the one that has the egg on my face as the season continues to roll on. Let's talk about Joe Espada, the man that is leading this franchise. Is it time to have the discussion of Joe Espada's job security 23 games into the season? Just a moment. eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your ride or die. You always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. I want to tell you now about Monopoly Go. Are you a fan of Monopoly? Well, yeah, I am too. Who isn't a fan of it? And I've been told that I have a competitive side. Yeah, it's true. Okay, well, I have a very competitive side. We all do, and my competitive side is a big, big fan of Monopoly Go, and I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities to bring you big money. But the best part is messing with my friends. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties just like Monopoly, but now I can also heist their vaults for riches of their riches for myself, and the leaderboards show me who's the biggest Monopoly tycoon. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. It is the Locked On Astros Postcast, and it's another day of the Locked On Astros Postcast where we have bad baseball to discuss. If you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Hope your Sunday is going well. If you're listening to this later on podcast, you can find this show and the Locked On Astros show, which two great shows for the price of one. 0 free. Look for your wherever you search for podcast, search Locked On Astros. You'll find this show. It'll say Postcast and the Locked On Astros show as well. And of course, again, new to the channel on YouTube, hit the subscribe button on the Locked On Sports Houston page. One day we're going to have good postcast to talk about, and then maybe, I guess when Texan season gets here, do we have to go back to that where our summers are not exciting, where our summers are about waiting for football season or waiting for basketball season? Is that where we're at? I mean, we had a good run. I still don't think that's where they're at or where we're at. Maybe for this season, this might be one of those years. Run-ins. Go back and look at the 2016 team. They did a lot of this. They got out of the gates extremely slow. They dug themselves a massive hole. They never got out of it. Again, the postseason being expanded with 7 teams in each league makes it easier to dig yourself out of a hole. I get that. But I just keep watching them and saying, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if they can fix this. What I do know is that, unfortunately, Joe Espada has taken over a baseball team and a franchise that he's worked with for a very long period of time, been a very key part to the success here in the city of Houston for a very long time. And Joe Espada is a respected man, a respected coach, and has worked his ass off to get there. And look, it's not everything in the world, but in the Dusty Baker era, Joe Espada basically handled a lot of the day-to-day. He handled all spring training. He ran it. He handled a lot of the day-to-day stuff. Dusty Baker was making the big decisions. But it's Joe Espada's team now. And they are into this season at 7-16. Think about it. Wrap your head around that. They lose on Tuesday, which they're off tomorrow. Honestly, thank goodness they don't play on Monday. I don't want to have to watch them. I need another day off from this. And I'm going to need another day off on Friday when they're off before they go to Mexico City. But Joe Espada is managing a team that's about to be 10 games under 500 if they lose on Tuesday. 10 before the end of April. I've done this, unfortunately, too many times when we've done these postcast shows. You just go pull up the standings. The Astros are worse than the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's play with a lot of AA players. They have no intention of winning. They spend no money on their roster. They are god-awful. The Astros are worse than them. The only teams that are worse than the Astros at this point are the Chicago White Sox, the Miami Marlins, and the Colorado Rockies. It's unbelievable. It truly is. There are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams out of 30 in the league that have not hit 10 wins. And the Astros are one of them. So the question becomes, is Joe Espada's job in danger? I think you can kind of link this to, just kind of how the sports world goes now. Every sport's different. And every franchise is, of course, different. In football, guys will get a few years. In basketball, guys will typically get at least a year, maybe 2. Baseball can be tricky. I always go to I'm a big soccer fan. I watch the Premier League a lot. I'm a big Chelsea fan. Now, that isn't the best comparison to make here because they fire managers constantly. It felt like they went through like 3 last year. But, I do wonder if you look at what's going on and the way that they're performing, and if Jim Crane's sitting there and saying, somebody's got to be held accountable for this and somebody's got to go. Could it be Joe Espada losing his job this quickly? I hate it, but I think it's a possibility. His team hasn't responded. It's not all completely his fault. Actually, look, to me, it really isn't his fault. I think in baseball, managers get the blame more than anything. And, the only time that there's real issues is to the stuff that you and I aren't privy to what is going on in the clubhouse. What we can go off is what goes on in the field. Look, he can tinker with the lineup. He's tinkered with it a little bit. He can't get his players, and the same argument when they would go through bad stretches when Dusty Baker was the manager here. He can't make his guys swing the bat and get hits. He can't make his pitchers not constantly get injured. He can't keep his pitchers from going out there like Ryan Presley and, having a vomit session all over the mound. He can make the decision to stop using these guys in certain spots. Then that's the other tricky part. Like, let's just go to that bullpen, for instance. If Joe Espada, if you want to blame him for maybe like yesterday's loss because of Ryan Presley, who's been terrible this year, I think the only argument you can make is Rafael Montero that should be pitching instead of those guys in those spots based off the way he's performed this year, which is wild. But other than that, what else they have? I said this a few weeks ago, and I do think it's accurate. This baseball team is the way it was built is flawed. You go look at it typically across the league, and you just go look at Astros teams of the past. They're bloated in terms of their payroll and their bullpen. And they've got 3 of the top 10 relievers in terms of per year salary in that bullpen. And right now, only one of them is performing in Rafael Montero. You can build out bullpen on cheap labor. And that was one of the things that James Click, now he had a year where he had to hit the reset button real quick and he went out and made some trades to fix it. James Click did it. Jeff Luhnow did it. Basically, the analytics guys did it. They knew how to put together an important part of your team and make it cost effective to where you could spread the money out elsewhere to fix other issues and be a more well-rounded baseball team. You've got that. And I keep going back to at least the coverage that Blake Snell could have provided you if you're going to spend big money. But not even just Blake Snell. You could have gone out and found any starting pitcher that was on the market this past offseason. There wasn't a great starting pitching market. Just adding some depth. Somebody to have there. I know that they have a lot of organizational depth, but look what happens. Sometimes they all get hurt. Sometimes they're all not available at times. And that has happened this season. It has made Joe Espada's job harder. And here we are again on this day, April the 21st, 23 games into the season? And I think it's a question that you have to ask. How long will it go before he is possibly going to lose his job less than a year into getting it? Because unfortunately, with the pressure that is on them, from one, the external of the fact that they lost to their state rival last year in Game 7 of the ALCS, and that team went on to win the World Series. Between that and, where some of the guys are in their careers and where this window is going, they've put a lot of pressure on themselves. And when that pressure isn't, they don't go out and perform under it, it's typically the man in charge that gets the brunt of it. I think he's got a few more weeks. And if this continues, let's just be hypothetical here. Let's say for the next 2 weeks, they kind of stay like this and they sit around 10 games under 500. And we're into early May at that point. 2 weeks from now is let's just go 2 weeks from now is the 5th of May. Let's say the 5th of May, they're 10 games under 500. I think at that point, he's probably going to lose his job. And they're going to go to the outside and try and find somebody that's available. Maybe I don't think he's coming back, but you beg or knock on Dusty Baker's door and beg him to come back. I still don't think it matters. That matters. It's not going to change anything. You could get him. You could bring back AJ Hinch. You could bring back anybody. You get the greatest managers of all time. You get Joe Torre. Probably not Tony La Russa. He'd fall asleep in the dugout. Whatever all-time great manager it is, I don't think it's changing what this team is right now. Change the mindset, maybe. Wake them up a little bit. But I don't see a lot of reasons to why this team is suddenly going to be a better baseball team than they have been. Just the facts. How can it get worse? Will it get worse? We'll discuss momentarily. Wouldn't it be great if you could see all of your investment and retirement accounts in one place? Oh, yes, it would be. With Yahoo Finance, you can consolidate your views from multiple accounts into one hub and access the expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. They are the number one finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. Securely link your brokerage accounts for a unified view of your wealth, including 401k and other investments. A comprehensive perspective is what sets apart great investors, and it's how Yahoo Finance ensures you have the insight to look at your wealth in its entirety. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, YahooFinance.com, the #1 financial destination, YahooFinance.com. That's YahooFinance.com. All right, we'll start to wind down our thoughts of the Locked On Astros postcast. Thank you for joining me. It's unfortunate that what keeps bringing us the most of you, the highest amount of you watching us live on YouTube is the Astros being terrible, but that's just the reality of the situation. And they are one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. The numbers say it, and they are playing like that every single day. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. If you're listening to this on podcast, search Locked On Sports Houston on YouTube, and you will find the channel. Hit subscribe there. You can find this show in the podcast form anywhere that you get your podcast by searching for Locked On Astros. You got this show and the Locked On Astros show. Two great podcasts, all one place, available for you, again, wherever it is that you get your podcast. So the question as we start to wind things down is, how much worse can this get? They got the Cubs coming up this week, 3 against them, a team that, look, is better than the Astros. The Cubs currently sit in second in the NL Central, the former home of the Astros. They're 13-8, though. I haven't seen if I'm sure they're playing right now or they have played. They're currently losing to the Marlins, so they are possibly going to go to 13-9. But look, they're way better than the Astros. There's no rotation, at least as we've been doing this. I haven't seen anything about a rotation being set for Chicago. I'm sure we won't hear that maybe for a day or so, but nothing's set, so we have no idea who's going to go in which game. They will have everybody available. That's not Cristian Javier, which a little bit concerning that Javier suddenly has neck discomfort, wakes up with neck discomfort, and he has to go on the injured list. Like, you have 2 days off this week. You couldn't just rest for a few days, but I guess you want to get a fresh arm. I don't know. The whole thing seemed a little strange and concerning for a team that has had a lot of things to be concerned about all season long. It never ends. It's this never-ending stream of concerns. But you have that. The good news is next weekend in Mexico City, you're playing the Rockies, and I will say it right now. If they do not go to Mexico City and sweep the Rockies out in the 2-game series, I might yell for the first time on this postcast. Like, legitimately yell. I'll be that mad. That team is terrible, and you're going to be in an atmosphere where the Astros bats should go off. Coors is a great atmosphere when you play the Colorado Rockies there, but Mexico City, the ball's going to fly a lot like Coors Field. So if they don't go out there and take care of their business, it's going to be a big, fat problem. They absolutely have to win 2 out of 3 in Chicago, and then they have to take those 2 in Mexico City. And I'm going to be greedy right now because I can be. I need them to win the next 5 games on the road. They won't, but I need them to. They need a winning streak in the worst way possible. But I do think that this can get worse, unfortunately, because I have not seen enough at the plate that says that they're going to suddenly get out of this. I've not seen enough on the mound that suddenly says they're going to pitch better consistently. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I want to be wrong. I go and ask the sports gods every single night to make sure I'm wrong. But this does feel like it has a good chance of getting worse for the Houston Astros. And maybe we'll just be sitting in more agony as the week goes on. Of course, we'll be with you after the first 2 games of the Cubs series. We actually will not have one on Thursday, at least as of now. That's the plan. I have to run out of town. But if I can do it Thursday after the day game, we'll try for that. But the next 2 games, Tuesday, Wednesday. So be sure to come back to the YouTube page. Watch us live. Of course, catch it later, whether it's on the video, on the podcast, wherever you get them. And hit the subscribe button on the YouTube page. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. The weather in Houston is absolutely fantastic. I will be outdoors the rest of this day. I hope you are too. Go enjoy it. Let's hopefully talk about some Astros wins this week on the Locked On Astros Postcast.